What is up, you guys? It is Jerry from Team Unco Studios, back again with another MPC Beats, very basic tutorial for you all using the MPC Beats software. All right, so in these next 3 videos, y'all, we're going to start going over how you're going to start adding some mixing techniques into your existing projects. All right, so with the project that I've got up right now, it's something simple. It's just this little beat that we got here, right? Okay, so with the beat that we got, all kinds of stuff going on in here, right? But for right now, what we're going to focus on is just the kick, okay? And the first thing that we're going to focus on with the kick is the EQ, right? The balance, right? Because our song is all about the balance, right? We want to make sure to keep things nice and even. So that's going to be the first video out of these next 3 videos, all right? We're going to focus on EQ, all right? The first thing that I want to let everyone know is we are not focusing on the beat or the kick or how awesome it sounds or anything like that. We're just focusing on the technique of EQing, all right? That's the most important part of this video, okay? It's a learning video on how to add a little bit more depth or a little bit more feeling into just this one little section of our entire song, all right? Because again, song is about balance, all right? We want to make sure that everything sticks in its own lane and kind of has its own thing to say as everything comes together at the end of the song, all right? So let's go ahead, like I said, and focus on this kick. So if we go ahead and now just play this, we've got it soloed, okay? Okay, this is what we've got, all right? So we're going to add a little bit of EQ, okay? So if we go into our inspector over here, and we check out where kind of the little window is right above where our A1 pad is, all right? This is my kit right here, okay? So you can see they're both going at the same kind of, dB level here, right? So this is my kit, fader, and this is my A1 pad, which is my kick, right? The way I got there is through my menu down here. Obviously, if you've seen the intro videos, you kind of guys know how to navigate, all right? If you haven't seen them, I highly recommend you guys go check them out. Okay, so now as we start adding stuff here, we're going to come into my A1 lane, and I'm going to come up to this first little window, and I'm going to pop it open here with that little down arrow, and I'm going to go to my EQs. And in my EQs, I'm going to go to my par EQ right here, okay? And I'm going to hit select, and then I'm going to go ahead and double tap right on the air EQ, and this is going to pop up, okay? So this is our first insert that we are going to be adding to our, kick here, right? So we're going to go ahead and just go over the basics of EQ really fast, all right? So what an EQ is it's going to start to shape our sound, okay? And this is the tool that measures how you measure sound, okay? Does that make sense? This is how we are going to measure that sound. Sound is measured by 2 things, hertz and decibels, okay? We obviously know decibels means volume, the louder, the quieter, okay? Hertz are where within those decibels the sound sits. Is it a low sound like a ooh, or is it a high sound like a beep? Okay, because if it's a high sound, it is going to be higher in hertz. All right. Now we know for some of my shorts, I go over EQ and stuff. If you haven't seen them, go check them out. It kind of gives you a breakdown of how hertz are measured, right? So low end means low hertz, 100, 200, 300, right? For every 1,000 hertz is a kilohertz. If you said it, you got it right, okay? So the kilohertz then start to stack up in, 1 kilohertz, 2, 3, 4, 5. They can go all the way up to 16, 20 kilohertz, right? When you get up into a certain range, it's so high pitch that you wouldn't really be able to hear it anyway. And the same thing with the low range. We only hear to a certain low hertz, okay? So again, low end is low hertz, all right? For every 1,000 hertz, kilohertz, all right? So that's why it changes when you see it. If you notice when I hover right here, okay, you see it says 100 hertz. But if I come over here, it says 1 kHz. That's what I'm talking about, okay? So let's go ahead and go back to our kick here. You see now, as I've explained, we have a low mid, a high mid, and a high, all right? what we're going to do, because we're working with the kick, and when you think kick, you think low, obviously, right? We're going to be taking these guys out. And we might add maybe a little bit of high mid, but for right now, let's just take it out. And what this means is we're just going to flatten that plane. We're not saying that we want it to do anything in this area of hertz right here. We just want it to sit flat, okay? Here, what we're going to do is we're going to pump up some of these sounds, okay? So we're going to kind of pump up the frequency to up to about 200 hertz here. And then I'm going to probably go to almost about, 800 hertz here on my low mid, okay? And then I'm going to also flatten these out a little bit, right? So now what these are doing is where this hertz amount is, it's making it either bubble up or flatten out like this, okay? So that's what this Q is doing right here. It's telling this range right here to either bubble up or to flatten like this. And because I want a good amount of this range, I'm going to flatten it out pretty much, and then I'm going to bring it up in volume, okay? So that's what I'm doing right here. And then here's my volume. Now I'm going to turn it up gain. I'm going to give me some gain here. And now let's go ahead and listen to my kick. You can obviously tell how much more punchier it is. Let's go ahead and take it out, okay? See how much drier it sounds now, okay? So now we're going to also add some output. So now that my kick is coming through my lane here, through my air para, it's getting processed here, and then it's coming down, right? Before it comes down to my fader here, I'm going to add some output of this. So how much of this EQ that I've set for this one kick do I want coming out now of the, into this lane right here? So it's not using this volume, it's using a volume on the actual inserter, right? So I'm going to add a little bit more here as I play. Much punchier. So if you notice down here, I'm kind of in the red now too, right? So I can kind of start messing with this volume also, see? So now I've got this punch kick, whereas if I turn it off, kind of very dry, nothing happening, a lot of punch. And I know I'm being a little bit extreme there, but that's the point. I want you guys to understand the difference, all right? So now let's go ahead and bring our track back in, all right? So we're gonna unsolo track. So now you can hear how much more punchy. Okay, so let's go ahead and bring our air power up, and let's go ahead and, there's our kick now, right? And out, and back in. So you see how just adding that in and out, totally changes the dynamic of the kick now, right? It kind of gives it a little bit more depth, a little bit more boominess, right? Now we are peaking red here. So the next video, we're going to kind of go into how to set a compressor and kind of go over the same things just like this, just very basic stuff on what a compressor does, what the different parameters do, and how you can apply it to really anything. I mean, there are a little bit of boundaries, but just like an EQ, you're going to find mostly everything in your track is going to have an EQ on it. And you're going to want to be able to balance out, what's, in that track is mid and what is low, because altogether is going to be dependent on what it's going to sound like, right? So everything can't have a lot of mid in it, because then everything is just going to sound all muddy and it's just not going to sound good at the end result, right? So it's all about balance. So that is what we're focusing on in these next 3 videos, all right? So we'll be back with the next video with compressor. Peace and love from all of us at Team Uncle Studios. We'll see you on the next video. Peace.